Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today in this virtual conference with the SD Times. We're talking about value stream management, and I put a presentation together that talks about who controlled the flow and who controls the flow in value stream management. So the story goes, I was at a conference and I was sitting at a table and I met with a couple CIOs. And we started to have this discussion about the difference between the flow in manufacturing and software delivery. And at the end of that, I came to this unique understanding that we may be looking at this wrong. And the reason why I come to that understanding is because we all do know that 80% of the work in software delivery is really management work, deciding what to do, brainstorming, waiting for things to come back. And the other 20% is actually, I call it the material flow or the flow of code into production. And we focus most of our attention on just that, code to deploy. And last year was the year of the value stream, but it may be shifting our mindset back a little bit. And I think we need to rethink this value stream thing a little bit. And our traditional view may be a little bit flawed, and I think we need to look at it in a kind of a different way. And let me walk you through that. Let me start with a value stream map. Now, this is a value stream map. We've all seen them. And these are complicated ones. They're a little bit more detailed from manufacturing. I'm not going to go through those with you, but let me take a simple one and go through it with you. So this is a simple value stream map. Let me go ahead and hide my video. And you can see that right down through there's supplier, which brought the raw materials in. There's customer. There's milling, forge, grind, inspection. I started my career in aerospace in a heat treat company where we take raw material metal and we go through the heat treat process. A lot of those were turbine blades and so on. And I worked for a turbine blade manufacturer for a while, so it's pretty similar to that. And this is very rudimentary flow. But let me walk you through it, and then I'll come back and explain some pieces to it. So a customer puts an order in. Automatically, the production control team creates a work order. That work order then goes out to the shop floor and is placed with the raw material in milling. And it sits there till it's ready to be picked up. Then, after they go through their prep time, they go through and they produce that work order, and then it sits here back in inventory waiting to go to forge. And you can see we start to measure the time and all that, and we do that in software delivery as well. So let's go through the next stage. So then that goes into forge and sits in inventory waiting to go to grind. But at the same time, production control says we need another work order to fill that order into production. That comes into milling, takes material from inventory, moves along. Through all of this, production control is making sure that all the materials that are needed are provided, and they produce a daily schedule to make sure that these things are flowing. When material flows from one to the other, let's say forge to grind, production control makes sure that that material is from inventory to grind to get ready to work. They do that on the daily schedule every morning, and the person that does that is called an expediter, and he makes sure that everything's ready to go to move things through. Then some of that work order gets into inspection. It sits there, waits for a while. It's in inventory. Now we've got it all done. It's inventory. It's now sitting in inventory waiting the 30 days to be shipped back to the customer. And production control is controlling all of this, making sure that this happens seamlessly. They're the ones that put the tickets out there, the workflow tickets, the work orders and their rework orders, and make sure everything flows in there. And that's the information flow that they're managing. And let's take a look at this from a software delivery perspective. And how does this apply? So what we've been saying in the industry is this. We've been showing this. This is a simple value stream map. Feature request, plan, design, build, test, deploy. There's different phases. There's plan, build, run. There's all of these. And we talk about managing these things from plan to code and production. And I think there's something missing in that, right? I think that looks a lot like waterfall. And we may be going back to waterfall with some of the things we're saying. And where is this thought of controlling the flow of information throughout there? Where is this concept, as we look at this in the planning phase, of production control? We're not mapping that or looking at or understanding that. What is production control in manufacturing? And it's part of that whole discussion I had. Production control is the master schedule, materials manager, the engineer that designed the process so that you could go through and deliver software. Expediters make sure everything's right and they're moving parts and work orders around the shop floor. And of course, quality assurance going there. And they are controlling the flow. They create control out of chaos. They create control for the chaos. So where's production and software control in manufacturing? And if you don't have production control in manufacturing, these are the things that are going to happen. You're going to miss delivery dates, unsatisfied customers. You're going to have a lack of visibility and predictability. So as a customer, if you work with a company like that, you're not sure your orders are going to come back on time, or they're going to have the right quality checks. So it's really important for all manufacturing organizations to have a production control team. Now, I kind of got a feeling, probably as I'm halfway through this presentation, you might be thinking this. Now, Lance, I can tell that you are one of those people from manufacturing, which I am, who is trying to enforce some of these manufacturing principles on software and delivery and software delivery. Well, the truth is, no, I'm not. I don't think that some of these principles that I just went over apply. And that's why I think we need to rethink the value stream, or rethink how we're talking about value stream management in software delivery today. You know, the work into software delivery is different every time. What I showed a flow of was the same materials, the same thing, a design flow of work. That doesn't happen in software delivery. Things are different sizes, and they get broken down differently and delivered differently. And most of your value streams have grown organically. And it's not linear in the same way to deliver that one thing. And this is what makes software delivery and IT so unpredictable. When different sizes come into your work orders or your requests or your epics, they're all going to be different sizes. Initiatives are going to be different sizes. And that's what makes IT so unpredictable, and software delivery. And it's so important today to get more predictable with software delivery. Your customers today are expecting a really well-designed digital experience from you. And we all remember the story of Netflix compared to Blockbuster, right? And in these times right now, as we're all self-isolating and we're, got to be so many feet apart and we're working from home, everybody expects to self-serve from your organization. I want to self-serve in my employees. I want to self-serve as your suppliers. I want to do all that and work with you in a digital way, no longer in the personal way. And it's just accentuated the need to be more predictable in software delivery. So who does control the flow in software delivery? And moreover, how can you control the flow more appropriately by paying attention to the two areas of flow that I talked about earlier? Now, if you look at this simple map, you can see that planning is all at the front of it, but that's not really how it really happens. I'm very certain that does not happen that way unless you're doing some waterfall. And of course, there's feedback loops through all this as well. But what I say is this: to make IT more predictable, material and information have to flow in parallel. You need to be able to put together better planning and get visibility of that. So to make IT predictable, you need to be able to see everything flowing through your software delivery and have a method to see that. That's where a governance model comes in place. Now, I'm not the first one to talk about governance models, but I haven't heard anybody else talk about governance models in software delivery. So let me take you through what I mean and actually build it out. So here's a simple governance model. Now, everybody should have some type of a governance model in their organization. And if you look at, here's the request come in to intake, approval, design, call that your portfolio tier if you want to. I call it the information flow. And that goes into a backlog, and that's agile. And this is multi-dimensional. That request could have backlog items that go on many delivery teams and many operational flow as well. And to move this through, the work comes in, and now I'm going to have to go to the next stage. And let me walk you through this. So that work actually goes to approval. So let's say it goes into your Clarity system, and then everybody's got to approve it and make sure it gets approved. And you have to manage and look at the time of everything when you're doing a value stream map for this. Okay, it's been approved, it's gone into design, and that design will then start to put user stories or tasks, but mostly user stories in my scenario, onto a backlog. And again, it could go onto other backlogs. And as you continue to design and break that down, more user stories come in. Then the team takes those user stories and then they start to plan them, and your epic moves into development. And they're planning through the system. Then they're in a sprint. That puts them in process. Then, of course, people are checking out the code, working on that, part of the operational flow, or they're getting environments they need to produce that. And then it goes to build, test, and release. And your third one comes into your next sprint. And you move that forward as well. And you can see now it's moving forward here. Your third user story is in test, and tasks to be a part of this. You can have multiple stage governance models, more than 2 if you want, or 3 as I'm kind of showing here. Then everything moves into deploy. So that code with those user stories and epics is all moving deployed, and it's all connected through the information flow. The next step is, of course, that moves into operations, but it's not over with that, of course. Then we have feedback loops on things that are going on. That moves things back to request and intake, and those, of course, could be defects. So now that you've kind of seen how information can flow, and this is a basic one, you may have your own, but this is how I propose we start looking at value streams in software delivery. And if we don't start doing this, things are going to be kind of chaotic. They're going to be all over the place. Without a governance model, you're going to have some unsatisfied customers. You're going to have lack of visibility, poor quality. These things aren't going to flow in the same way. And if we don't look at value stream like this, there's no way for any value stream management solution to gather some of those lean metrics outside of just the flow of code. So the other thing that's really important is this concept. You need a value stream leader. And the value stream leader is here to enforce, set up, create the governance model so that you can get visibility and understand how things are going through. And in software, what I've seen is a lot of people really appreciate the governance model because as they're working on a user story, they can see why and what it's related to and how it connects. So the value stream leader is starting to become this concept that will be really key as we move forward in this market of value stream management in software delivery. What does that person look like? Again, I said this earlier, creates a governance model. His job is to create flow through your organization, make sure that you can get the epics to the user stories, and so on. Normally, that's somebody in a higher level type of position. in your organization. It oversees all of the flow of all the things that come together and has a great understanding of how that relates. And any value stream management solution should be able to connect all those tools in your software delivery pipeline or in software delivery, including all those other ones. Understand governance models. So this is where you look at hierarchies of things and give the value stream management leader the right alerts, the right information in order to improve the flow, find bottlenecks, or present them to the person in the analytics and reports. So to end my presentation, who controls the flow? Your value stream leader and your governance model will allow you to be really effective in value stream management and software delivery.